Hello everyone. Once again, a warm welcome to Super Coaching UPSC by Textbook. This is Venkatesh, your faculty for geography. And in this session, we're going to discuss about the blazing forest fires in Nilgiris, the forest of South India, where you have seen these forest fires are dominating like anything. And you have a rocking, splendid display by Indian Air Force, where they have done some kind of rescue operations here, which we'll discuss about such kind of things in this video. Right? So let's wait. Okay. Now, if you see this forest fires, then not just the forest fires in South India of Nilgiris as such, but in general, the entire South India is having the significant impact of forest fires recently in the and you have seen this, the region of Kunur forest range in the Nilgiris of Tamil Nadu. They might ask you this question. Kunur forest range recently in news is associated with which region? The Nilgiris of Tamil Nadu. In South India, most forest covered areas of Andhra Pradesh, Karnataka and Tamil Nadu have seen some kind of fire incidents in the last 1 week to 10 days. Yes. Usually, why this point I have written in the context here is, when you talk about forest fires, South India is having not that dominant forest fires, and that is one of the unusual thing. Why? Let's understand the reasons of that. When you talk about the reasons, the forest fires, where and why, where do you find these things is, you usually find forest fires are dominant in the regions where they are dry deciduous forests. You can see this word dry. That indicates itself there is a dry biomass because of less rainfall, right? So according to the Forest Survey of India, fires break out in the dry deciduous forests more frequently than the normal ones, while you find the regions of evergreen, semi-evergreen and the mountain temperate forests comparatively less prone to fires. But this is the anomaly here. There is the present forest fire in the Nilgiris is part of this region where there is supposed to be less forest fire, but that's what you find. Number two, you find that forests in South India are less prone to fires because the vegetation type is largely evergreen or semi-evergreen. So this is the point. Let us understand about this. If you talk about the forest, the types of forests in India, the variety of forests, they are coterminous with respect to our rainfall areas. You know that the regions like the Western Ghats regions, the northeastern regions usually receive significant amount of rainfall, be it from the Bay of Bengal branch or from the Arabian branch, especially the Western Ghats. And because they receive more rainfall, they are having more evergreen forests. So because they have more evergreen forest, the chances of them having more amount of the chances of forest fire is usually a not so high. This is number one. Then you can see that the rain shadow area of the Western Ghats, here you will find less rainfall, and that is the region where you will find the thorny vegetation and the dry deciduous forest. You can see this. This is the thorny vegetation. This is the thorny vegetation, the yellow color one, and this is the dry deciduous or the dry deciduous variety or the moist deciduous. So this is the moist deciduous and this is the dry deciduous. You can see this entire thing is the deciduous forest. Now what you are saying, because of the distributions of the rainfall, you can actually get it linked with our natural vegetation. One thing for all of you, a static concept here. In which of the following, which factor is more responsible for this, a type of forest in India? Is it about the temperature? Is it about the rainfall? Is it about any other factor? When you talk about the criteria needed of forests in India, the one major factor which significantly outplays any other one happens to be the rainfall. In fact, you can see here the rainfall map of India, superimpose that over the vegetation map, both of them look the same, both of them match accordingly. That is the dominance of rainfall in India. So simple point, what we need to say is, the susceptibility of forest fires is more in the dry deciduous because of more dryness. This is what I wanted to identify. That is the reason why, right? That is the reason why you will find the forests of Northeast India, Odisha, Maharashtra, Jharkhand, Chhattisgarh, Uttarakhand are the most vulnerable ones. Yeah, for Uttarakhand, there is an added forest, chir pines. The kind of vegetation which is found in the regions of Uttarakhand is chir pine variety, which has its own dominance, right? Green Heart Guardian, a warm good afternoon. New name, right? Okay, anyhow, so what I am trying to tell you, the regions of Uttarakhand here, these regions, why do you think that they have more amount of forest fires? Yes, lack of snowfall, rainfall in the Himalayas, such things might aggravate, but one of the reason here is the chir pine vegetation, which is prone to forest fires, is dominant in the Uttarakhand forest, is the reason why we find forest fires. Otherwise, in general, across the country, it is the dry deciduous ones. And which is the time frame for finding that? Definitely, it is not in the peak rainfall season of monsoons. That's what you can remember. And slowly, as winter approaches, even in winter, you do find some kind of especially in South India, you might find some kind of heat which is trapped, because of which there might be some kind of forest fires, but definitely that is not much the case in North India. So across the country, you will find that forest fires are dominant, but from November to June period. Which period? November to June. But having said that, the usually most dominant or the worst days are the unfortunate upcoming months of April and May. By the last stages of March, April, you will see that forest fires as a topic will be going more in the news because of the vulnerability with respect to more amount of suitable climate. See, there is a certain climate which is suitable, which is making it suitability. Let's see it. What is that? The first thing you need to see is above normal temperatures. The day temperatures tends to be recently very, very high. The above normal day temperatures in the recent era in South India and associated with high aridity. I think you all know aridity, lack of rainfall. I have done why there is a water crisis in Bengaluru. I have done a video on that, right? If you remember that, I have told you that the rainfall received in this part is very, very less. So if you connect with that, this is an area where the rainfall is very, very less. And at the same time, they are receiving more temperatures than normal. When there is less rainfall, or usually you will find clear sky conditions, and there is no calm wind system which is diluting it, calmer wind systems, all are suitable conditions for forest fires. These are natural factors. This natural factor is associated with what? Associated with man-made activity, say like a cigarette bud, or else like some kind of a barbecue, which some of the people go and do it in the part of the forest. If they don't close that forest widely and they have left it, the sparks of the fire can move across the forest because of a small wind, and that can catch about the dry biomass can catch that fire, and slowly it starts spreading. In fact, most of the reasons for the ignition of any forest fires always happens to be the man-made activities, not the activities of regions, not the activities of things like natural factors like vegetation or lightning or volcanic eruption. In India, anyhow, in the mainland doesn't have any kind of volcano except the barren island in the Andaman. So definitely you don't find volcano as the source. Lightning you might find as a source, but generally the trigger is always the man-made activities, right? So with this kind of supportive nature of the climate, you will find the man-made activity is actually acting as a trigger. So I would say the reason is the trigger, you have to take care, but you have to be more cautious of the temperature. This you cannot anyhow change. You will have around more amount of temperatures, less rainfall during the upcoming months. You will find this combination. So you cannot change this, isn't it? See, then I have seen some kind of data here. Now you see, next time whenever there is a question about forest fires, say 2024 mains will have forest fires, you can use these words. You see, February ended up being exceptionally hot over the country, especially South India. This was South India's hottest since 1901. The temperatures, they're only talking about temperatures. In general, if you see, whether it is a maximum temperature, the minimum temperature, or the mean average temperatures, all are remained above normal over the years. So because of this, what is happening? The heat load is increasing. Overall, what is happening? The heat load is increasing. When the heat load is increasing, well before the summer season, there is a decent availability of dry biomass. What is that? Dry biomass is abundantly available. Because of this dry biomass which is abundantly available, you will find that there is decent amount of forest fire. Number one. Then move forward. Then you see, the Indian Meteorological Department has identified that there is excessive heat factor. What is this? Excessive heat factor, which is a value that predicts the chances of heat wave over the region to be significantly higher than normal over Western Andhra Pradesh and neighboring Karnataka. So what do you mean by excessive heat factor? Because of this heat overload, if the region is having more amount of heat, be it in terms of more temperatures or lack of rainfall, high aridity, which is leading to overload of the heat, definitely the Indian Meteorological Department says that there is high chances of forest fires. Yes, Gurman Chakma, hello Gurman, how are you doing? You are from CADC Mizoram, hello. Right. Now, if you see, once you talk about this, in general, when you talk about the things, another point you need to understand that the survey says that 36% of India's forests are prone to fires, whereas only 4% are highly prone. Only 4% are highly prone. So this is the difference. 36% are high forest areas prone to forest fires, and only 4% are highly prone. The difference. So you can understand these are frequent forest fires, say like Uttarakhand, or this is the 36% of India's forests are prone to fires in general about the other ones. Now, then as you move forward, what did the Indian Air Force has done recently, which has been such a prominent one, is a very, very unique thing, which is innovatively called as the Bambi Bucket operations. Bambi Bucket operations. Now, what is this Bambi Bucket operations? How it is very unique? See, Indian Air Force, you have some helicopters which they use. Say one of the helicopter which is used is called as Mi-17 V5 helicopter. And what is the unique technique of this Bambi bucket operations are? Usually whenever a helicopter, they need not go to any helicopter operates in these kind of operations. You need to go to your base. In the base, you will find water and they will be collecting it and they will bringing it. But that is a big challenge. The amount of water which you can provide with that, it becomes a huge challenge. So Bambi operations is a Bambi bucket, which is famous with respect to this orange color bucket which you can see. What is the uniqueness of this bucket operations is, you can usually collect the water from any nearby water body. For example, in the recent Nilgiris area, there is a very local river very near to it called as Bhavani River. And in that Bhavani River, the Indian Air Force has caught the water, collected the water rather, and they will go to the place where there is a forest fire and they will dump the water into it. So the technique here is they are saving time. They are saving time because they can easily collect the water from the nearby water source, and usually you will find some kind of a water body where you can collect water, and that water can be transported via the helicopter, and by a release of certain unique things, they can easily dump that water into the forest fire. Keeping this, almost around 16,000 liters of water Indian Air Force has done that, right? So this is the thing. Yes, Green Heart, our side in which side, which place are you? Few people deliberately set fire. So what is saying? Our side in Kolar, few people deliberately set fire to clear vegetation. That is also one of the thing. No, always you will find that the natural vegetation is cleared for agriculture purpose. That is also another trigger. Yes, right. Now let us see this Bambi bucket operations of the Indian Air Force. So they have collected the water from the nearby river. They take this water and they will go to this place where there is a forest fire. You can see that there is a video I have brought forward here. You can see the water is transported and here they are dumping that water into the forest fire. You can see huge bucket of water being transported via the Bambi bucket into the forest fire area. You can see exactly the water falling down. As the water falls down, there is a fair chance of suppressing the entire forest fires, right? Right? So that is the thing of how Indian Air Force operated. Now, there is another method. There is another thing which you need to understand. What are the types of forest fires? What are the types? Ground fires, surface fires, something called as crown fires. Now, what do you mean by crown fire? Ground fire, surface fire. Both look similar, ground and surface. How are they different? Let us understand. Ground fires, that is, when you talk about ground, it means what do you mean by mostly dominated with, say, underground. Assume this as underground. So occurs below material such as leaves and peat. The dead organic matter is what I am saying here. The humus content, the dead organic matter. And these fires are usually slow moving, but when left unattended, they can take out large areas. They're particularly dangerous because they can hibernate below the surface during a warm winter and re-emerge once the weather gets warm again. Now, what is happening? Imagine that this is the surface. There is so much amount of dead organic matter which is collected here, and here you are finding. Imagine that there is some kind of warmness which is there on this dead organic matter underneath the surface. This is what we will call it as ground fire. Ground fire. Then, what is surface fire? These are the easiest fire and can put out relatively easily because they can occur at the surface and generally no taller than the average human. So here you will find, say, some kind of a twigs, branches and all which are there on the ground. If they collect, this is what is called as a ground fire. But what if there is a big kind of a canopy and the forest fire, if it happens, if it is moving from canopy to canopy at the top, this is the most dangerous one, which we call it as crown fire. You can see the crown, the canopy, if that catches fire and that spreads across, this is what is called crown fire. So please understand, canopy fire, on the surface fire and underneath the surface fire. It is a crown fire which is the most dangerous because of the quick, fast spreading behavior and ability to wipe out the entire forest in a very, very short period of time. Right? So these occur on the top of the trees. You can see this picture. You can see this picture. Look at the canopy, crown fire, which moves from place to place. Very dominant, especially in the areas of which one? Say, I would say this is the areas which are dominant in the Mediterranean regions. Mediterranean region. Why do you think that Mediterranean region is the most dominant one? Can anyone explain? Can anyone explain? Green Heart, you have closely worked with the forest department in such cases, have seen people see forest department as okay. Yeah, some people might have some misunderstanding, but the positive influence of the government, whatever they're doing, they have a huge role to play, which can be actually will be given the due thing. There is, see, society will have always have multiple viewpoints. Some are right, some are wrong for sure, no doubt about that. But the good things which are done slowly, no matter what, it has its role to play. Definitely, these are very, very visible. For example, when you talk about India's success story in disaster management, these are being replicated across the world in the present era, right? The cyclone management. Have you ever seen the India's National Disaster Responsible Force, NDRF, not working properly? The news are very, very rare. Why? Because it's a very professional body and we take care of the people in a very, very good way. So yes, sometimes you might find some kind of things, but these are minor bits and pieces, somewhere, not the core. Please understand the difference. Society will always find multiple viewpoints, right? So keeping this into consideration, understand what is ground fire, surface fire, crown fire. So by the way, I'm asking about this question. Why Mediterranean region is more prone to forest fires? Can anyone answer? Yes, Green Heart. Can you answer this? Guman Chakma, can you answer? Can you answer? Yes. Yeah, Gayatri, yes. Dry summers, yes. You know, Mediterranean region, they are known for this characteristic feature called dry summers, wet winters. Dry summers, wet winters. Because for 6 to 7 months there is ripening, there is dry Mediterranean region is known for viticulture, grape cultivation, vineyards, right? So if you talk about that, dry summers, the Mediterranean region, why it is dry? 6 to 7 months, there is a reason of lack of rainfall, and because of this, that allows the ripening of the fruits. That's why grape cultivation, orange, citrus fruits. Similarly, because of the dryness, there is more dry biomass available. That is one of the trigger. So in fact, last year, if you all remember, the Chile, the things, right? The Chile things. Do you remember this? Chile forest fires 2023. One of the dangerous one. Why did you think? One of the reason is this. The nature, the climate here is very prone to forest fires like anything. Similarly, the chirpine forests in Uttarakhand are prone to forest fires because of the same thing, right? So that is about the types of forest fires. I hope you all have understood this. I hope you got a fair idea about what you mean by a forest fire, why certain regions in India receives more forest fires. And if you wanted to understand, there is another question. Why the Himalayan forest fires are more dominant? Another thing which you can say is, one, you can talk about always about the natural factors. You can always talk about the natural factors. Natural factors. Say what would be the lack of rainfall or snowfall, increasing temperatures. These will be always will be there. Then you will find, for example, one of the thing, choice of vegetation. The chirpine forests of Uttarakhand, they are not the ones which were radically planted by the Britishers. Is one of the reason why do you find it? And you will find the main trigger. Without this, the forest fires will not happen itself. The man-made factors, be it the agriculture activities which they do, they burn the things for agriculture, the slash and burn agriculture, which you find, the things like the choice of vegetation, the man-made factor, the things which I'm trying to tell you. What is that? Agriculture one, or else it could be the any kind of a barbecue, bonfires, adventure, people, tourists which they enter, or a cigarette. All these are one of the challenges of why the existing dry biomass by the climate is actually aggravated by the man-made activities. So please try to understand, right? That is what I am trying to tell you. So this is about the forest fires, and unfortunately, you will find the Himalayan forest fires increasing in the upcoming days, and because of that, you will find such challenge. So let's see how the things are span out. This is about the forest fires. Hope you all have understood this. And if you want the PDF file, you can get it from a Telegram channel. And this is a platform. It is not just around only a platform merely for getting or transferring the materials. It's also an opportunity for you to interact with me. I regularly provide some kind of doubt clearing sessions in the Telegram channel itself, where you can always interact with me and can resolve your doubts. Okay. So this is about the forest fires in South India. Hope you all have understood it. We'll come back again with a new topic. Until then, read well. Happy learnings, all of you. Take care of yourself, and Jai Hind. Thank you.